Filmed nearly 60 years ago, the Patterson-Gimlin film from 1967 of a creature walking through Bluff Creek in Northern California, America, still is questioned today about whether it is real or fake. Does this footage truly show the creature we know as Bigfoot? It's a creature I've been fascinated with all my life. But of course, there's nowhere to go Bigfoot hunting in the UK, is there?
Hi everybody, Matt back with you. Hope you're okay. Welcome to March on the dark side of the moor. At the start of this video, you will have seen the footage, the famous footage from 1967 of the Bigfoot walking along the Bluff Creek woodlands or forests of California. That piece of footage is heading towards 60 years old. And it is still today probably the most famous piece of footage of a Bigfoot. And of course, over the years, even from then, people have mocked it. They've said, what a load of rubbish, and said it's fake. However, of the two people there filming it on that day, Patterson, the first one, passed away in the 70s, and he said right up to his dying day that that footage was real. So that piece of footage started the Bigfoot craze, and all of a sudden everybody was seeing Bigfoot, or people were going out and hunting Bigfoot. And of course there is more than Bigfoot in this world in terms of big hairy ape men. We've had things like the abominable snowman, kind of in the Tibet area, with the Yowies
From Australia,
and of course the Bigfoot or the Sasquatch across the woodlands and forests of Northwest America. But even today, 60 years on, nobody can seem to get good, unshaky or close-up footage or film or photographs. And that's the same with nearly everything that fits into that kind of cryptid or supernatural kind of category. You know, how many cryptids have we got in America? Things like the Mothman. Here we have the Loch Ness Monster. There are no footage of it. However, all this doesn't matter to me, because I'm not here to try and make you think yes or no, things are real or not. I had an obsession when I was a child of all things cryptid, and especially Bigfoot. And one of my very earliest memories is getting a book all about kind of folklore and monsters, and Bigfoot was on the cover. I was obsessed with it, and I wanted to go and have a Bigfoot search. And when I hit 50, I'm going to do that. I'll tell you about that soon. But a lot of things to do with Bigfoot, of course, are found across the world in other places. How bizarre then that the story I'm going to bring you is of a Sasquatch from Salford. So when you saw the title of this video, I'm going to guess you may have thought this is one where Matt finally takes the mickey, mocks the subject matter, and no, here's the answer. That's not what I'm going to do in this video at all. I believe, yes, it is quite a strange title, and your initial thoughts are probably very sceptical, and you're probably thinking, that is not even possible. But soon we're going to head to whereabouts in Salford these sightings have been taking place. And you may be surprised to know that the sightings in Salford have lasted for 60 years. Although I have an open mind for everything I film, whether it's UFOs or monsters or folklore or ghosts. I sit in the middle every single time. You don't need to know my opinion. My opinion doesn't matter. And even if I didn't believe it, who am I to say things are not real? Because what's important here is somebody else thinks it is. And that person is the person who's seen the creature, and it's changed their life from the moment they saw it. We're going to look at one particular case from 1982, and a 15-year-old girl who said she saw a Bigfoot in a park in Salford. We're going to head to the park, like I say, and have a look around, see if we can figure out what might be going on here. And yeah, I'm also of the opinion initially, I'm not saying she didn't see something. I can't imagine it's Bigfoot, but it's a park in a city. I won't know till I'm there, and if nothing else, it'll be a nice walk around the park. But remember, people's lives change when they announce something so seemingly odd to the world. They set themselves up for kind of mockery and ridicule. And that's what happened with the person we're going to speak about today. Because since 1982, and she was only 15 years old, she's now heading towards 60, this person says exactly the same as what she did then. She saw an ape-like creature in the park, Buile Park in Salford. And it brought to mind other people who have seen things over the last decades, not just to do with Bigfoot. It reminds me of things like Alan Godfrey and the UFO in 1980. His story is still today exactly what it was, and he's faced public ridicule and humiliation, loss of job and earnings, family turning against him, yet his story remains the same, as do some of these.
For decades, locals in the small town of Fouke have said that something inhuman stalks the deep, dark swamps in their region, the Fouke Monster.
In 2026, I'm heading to Fouke, in Arkansas in Texas. I'm fulfilling an ambition. I'm heading out to search for the Fouke Monster, aka the Boggy Creek Monster. In the early 1970s, a number of families claimed to have been attacked by a creature from the swamp. Sightings actually date back to 1946. In 1972, a film called The Legend of Boggy Creek, a docudrama horror film, was released to great fanfare, similar to what Blair Witch would be over 25 years later. People watched this film, not sure if what they were watching was real. And yet, back in the day, that included me. The town of Fouke has a dedicated day each year to celebrate the folklore of the monster, where people get together to share stories. The town also has its famous Monster Mart shop, where you can buy all your Fouke monster goodies. Can't wait, but that's for next year. But what always fascinated me about the Boggy Creek story was the noise recorded one night of the Fouke monster in the distance. Is this really its cries?
Whatever they believe about the Fouke monster, locals agree that something unexplained lurks in the Sulphur River bottoms.
It changes your whole belief system on everything when you have your first sighting. Things exist that we're not told exist, that the world is bigger than we ever thought.
Okay, that's the backstory. Let's head to Buile Hill Park in Salford and tell you the story of Deborah Hatswell and what she saw in the park in 1982.
Morning. Here we are inside Buile Hill Park in Salford. So, plan for this is to have a walk around. I'll tell you the story of what happened here in 1982 and just see if we can perhaps piece together any clues as to what might have happened and also what the location might be of where these sightings took place. Now, it seems to me that it could be near an old mansion that's inside the grounds somewhere. So we'll have a wander, see what happens. There's a lot of people walking dogs here. They're probably going to wonder what I'm doing as I prowl through the grass and undergrowth. I hope I get to the end of this without being arrested. So in 1982, Deborah Hatswell was 15 years old and at a school not far from here. And she went skiving from the school, came into the park with a friend, and they went to hang out near Buile Hill Mansion, which hopefully we'll find soon. I don't know if it's still abandoned or not, but at the time it was a derelict mansion and has been for quite a long time. There was a wall of ivy and rhododendron bushes, and they went and hid behind there because that was out of sight of the school that they were at. And it was whilst they were there that something leapt out of the bushes. Okay, so I think I've just spotted the mansion. It's actually got scaffolding all around it. There's also a big fence around it and a danger keep out sign. So I'm guessing perhaps after 40 years of being abandoned at least, it's now been turned into something else. So I don't know if we can get near the mansion or where the sighting would have taken place, but I'll keep walking around, see if I can figure out where it might be. Maybe not doing it up at all. Oh dear, will we find anything? So it looks like I should probably have filmed this story a few years ago. You can see the mansion in the background there with scaffolding on. I'm guessing actually that's not being demolished, maybe being worked on. I don't know quite what's happening here, unless the mansion is going to be something else. Maybe this is a car park, the building, but yeah, not looking good, is it?
So a quick check online, it seems to be an old Victorian greenhouse that's been demolished, much to the chagrin of the locals here in Salford.
Excuse me, have you seen Bigfoot? No? Okay. Right, so just in the distance is the school there. I'm not sure if it'll be the same school. That looks quite a new building. And then the mansion house or manor is behind the trees there. So I'm presuming, if that is the school, it was somewhere here. Okay, so just for the sake of argument and that we have a location, this is between the mansion and the school. So let's just say this is where it happened. I don't think it is. I think, going off pictures, it's a thicker clump of trees, potentially now gone if they're working on the manor. But as I say, she was hiding behind the ivy and the rhododendron bushes, and then all of a sudden she saw a movement out of the corner of her eye, and this huge figure came out of the bushes towards them. She ran as fast as she could, and she looked behind and she could see her friend was running too. She also could spot in the distance where he'd been, this ape-like figure disappeared back into the bushes. She never saw the full version of the figure, but the description of it was very interesting. She described it as something between an ape and a man stuck together. This is how Deborah described it in her own words. I looked back and my friend was running too, and the creature disappeared back into the greenery. I still can't explain what I saw. I didn't ask for it. I didn't wish for it. I must have looked a right state running home, my face full of snot and tears, like I'd seen a ghost. I wish I had seen a ghost. Everyone wants to hear a ghost story. No one wants to listen to a 15-year-old girl who insists she saw an ancient ape man whilst playing in the park.
Like an ape or a man pushed together, thick brows like a Neanderthal man, broad shoulders, thick muscles, human-looking teeth. I think this is the picture that was created going from Deborah's description.
Excuse me, have you seen Bigfoot? No? Okay. The description was a wall of ivy and rhododendrons. What do you think about this? Possible. So what I immediately start to do is start asking some questions in my head, trying to put some answers together. I can't possibly say what Deborah saw that day, or her friend. I'd love to know what her friend actually says she'd seen, if she even saw it, or did she just follow Deborah and run as fast as possible. A derelict mansion, a lot of overgrown ivy bushes and rhododendrons, and there was an ape-like man hiding in those bushes. My immediate thought, and again, it could be complete nonsense and it's not to say anything other than what I'm thinking, is, was there somebody just living rough, hiding out in the mansion whilst it was derelict, and possibly heard the noises, came out of the mansion into the bushes and scared them away? Maybe they thought could be the authorities or something like that. The description given is also not very what you would class as a stereotypical Bigfoot, is it? It's more like she describes it more like a Neanderthal ape man. So yeah, that's my initial thought. It could have just been somebody hiding out in the mansion, living rough. And it just reminded me of, I used to walk to work. I worked near the Shay in Halifax at John Holdsworth's, and I lived in Boothtown, and I had to walk about 30 minutes to get to work. And this is back in the 90s, on the side of the road, there were lots of mills, old mills on the roadside, and I remember really clearly just this old man just suddenly rearing up out of the window of this mill whilst I was walking past it, and he had a big bushy beard and everything, and he was sleeping rough. And I think it just immediately made me think the same thing. But yeah, again, I'm not rubbishing the claim or ridiculing it at all, because what happened next is Deborah actually put ads in the paper to ask for any witnesses. She was convinced she'd seen something, and I absolutely agree she did see something that day, but she tried to get the answers. And then, quite interestingly, other claims and reports started appearing from here in Buile Hill Park.
People seem to have spotted an ape-like creature here in the woods of the park, dating back to the 1960s. The most recent report is from 2017. A sighting even occurred in 1984, just 2 years after Deborah's sighting. This time a lady came across a 7-foot, naked, ape-like creature in the path ahead of her. So what exactly was it these people were seeing?
Lovely crocuses. But a quick question. Tell me if you know the answer. Why do the birds eat the yellow ones?
The answers will always be a mystery. Yet 60 years of sightings is something quite unexpected. Even though this is the biggest park in Salford, it is surrounded by houses and buildings. So is there something hidden away elsewhere in the park, hiding, waiting, ready to come out one more time? Deborah's story has frequently appeared in the newspapers and, of course, online in the years since. Most of the time, they are mocking and ridiculing the story of a Salford Sasquatch. But Deborah maintains her story. She suffered trauma from the events that happened in the park, realizing that those who do see things and don't have a voice, due to social issues they may face, ridicule and disbelief, she runs a site to help others who say they have seen things. She helps people who feel isolated and alone, all because they've experienced something and also have trauma linked to those events. Whatever happened here in the park affected Deborah ever since. But what do you think happened here? Let me know in the comments below.
Okay, so that is the story of the Buile Park Bigfoot, or the Salford Sasquatch, whichever one you wish to use. What do you think? I maintain I think she saw something. I don't think there's a question of that. But I'm not sure if it was a Bigfoot on this occasion. However, yeah, she stuck to that story for so long. I don't think there's any way you can question that she saw something on that day that terrified her and stuck with her forever. I'll finish with my usual line when I cover things like ghost stories or folklore or cryptids. I don't have the answers. But wouldn't it be a shame if we knew everything about this world that there is to know? See you soon. Take care. Bye for now.